Learning and knowledge acquisition theories. Learning is a relatively permanent change in one's behavior as a result of interactions in the environment. It is also an acquisition through maturation, experience of new knowledge, skills, and attitudes that enable the learner make better, more adequate reactions, response, and adjustment to new situations. And learning encourages the ability to do something efficiently with the help of available resources so that you can reach your goals. And the importance of learning is that it helps the individual to acquire the necessary skills through learning and knowledge so that he can achieve. The next one is learning theory. This refers to any of the proposals put forth to explain changes in behavior produced by practice as opposed to other factors. And also are abstract frameworks that describe how knowledge is received and proceed during the learning experience. Next is behavioristic theory. This theory emphasizes that behavior is mostly learned through conditioning and reinforcement, such as rewards and punishment. Example of behavioristic theory is teachers reward their class or certain students with a party or special treat at the end of the week for good behavior throughout the week. Classical conditioning theory, also known as Pavlovian conditioning, a process of learning through association, and was discovered by Ivan Petrovich Pavlov. Russian sociologist Ivan Pavlov first discovered classical conditioning when he ran an experiment which he rang a bell every time he fed a group of dogs. And also, Pavlov showed that classical conditioning leads to learning by association. Watson and Rayner showed that phobias can be learned through classical conditioning in the Little Albert experiment. An example of classical conditioning theory: whenever you come home wearing a baseball cap, you take your child to the park to play. So whenever your child sees you come home with a baseball cap, he is excited because associated your cap with a trip to the park. Next is a stimulus. This is something that causes a reaction, especially interest, arousal, or energy. The first picture is touching a hot kettle. The reaction or response here is withdrawing hand due to heat. And the second sample is bad smell. The reaction or response is cold. Next is stimulus generalization. It is the tendency for the conditioned stimulus to evoke similar responses after the response has been conditioned. The example for this is if the child has taught how to use the potty in only one toilet, his ability to go potty in a different toilet in another environment will demonstrate stimulus generalization. Next is unconditioned stimulus. This refers to that unconditionally, naturally, and automatically triggers a response. The first example is your cat running to its bowl whenever it smells food. So the unconditioned stimulus here is the scent of the food or the smell. The second one is pollen from grass and flowers cause you to sneeze. So the pollen is the unconditioned stimulus. Next is cutting up an onion makes your eyes water. So the unconditioned stimulus is the onion. Conditioned response. This is an action that is elicited naturally. It is an unlearned response that occurs naturally in interaction to the unconditioned stimulus, a natural reaction to something that happens without behavioral modification. So the example is salivating in response to a sour taste. Next is twitching your leg in response to a doctor tapping on your knee. The last is neutral stimulus, does not activate any specific response but can effectively promote learning when used along with unconditioned stimulus. And a perfect example of neutral stimulus is had a sound or a song. For example, the sound of a squeaky door opening may initially be a neutral stimulus if that sound is repeatedly paired with unconditioned such as your feet cat, that sounds will eventually come to trigger a change in your cat's behavior. Once an association has been formed, your cat may react as if it's being fed every time it hears the squeaky door open.